what's going on, guys? It's the Entertainment Critic, and welcome back to another review on The Flash Season 4. And I wasn't expecting to do a review until the season review for The Flash Season 4, because I generally only do a review for like the really standout, really good episodes, so like I did for the Legends episodes, and I probably won't be doing a review for the finale. I'm going to include my thoughts on the finale in the season review video, which I'm going to come out some point later next week or the week after maybe, and trying to space out each video so it makes I don't overflow with content, so to speak. But anyway, this is going to be for Nolan Annoyed, which is season 4 episode 17, I believe, and this episode was actually directed by Kevin Smith, and for the first time he actually stars in this episode, so he actually had a small cameo appearance. So he kind of was like, so if you know in the Marvel movies you have Stan Lee, he has his cameo in every single movie that Marvel puts out. Well, I kind of think of Kevin Smith in this episode like the Stan Lee cameos. That's kind of what it was, because he just appears on screen, says something, and he was like the source of comedy, so to speak, because in one of the scenes where he was transporting some piece of gold, Ralph was trying to get the evidence and it smashes, and then he was like the butt of the joke, really, Kevin Smith's character in that part, and he had a few lines, and that was about it, and that was awesome. I liked that they included him a lot. There's a lot of things I actually liked about this episode, and there's only one thing that I really didn't like, and I'll get into that in a little bit later. I'm going to go over a few things I liked first, and then I'll get into what I didn't like, and then overall, you know how this works. So, getting into the things I did like, I really liked the new meta. She was really smart, and it's nice. It's a nice change compared to all of the other metas like we've had, because they've like mostly been like dumb, so to speak. So like, I'm not gonna say Ralph has had the change and he's like smarter now as a person after being with Team Flash, but most of them are just normal people who got powers and then they've just become your generic stereotypical villain in the week. But I felt like Null was different. Obviously, Melting Point was different too. He wanted to help people, but he accidentally used his powers, so that was a slightly different case. But Null was actually really smart, and she used she was one of the first metas to actually use a hostage to distract Barry so that she could get away. So what she did is she sent a car up into the atmosphere and then made it fall towards the ground. So basically what she can do is once she touches it something, it like gives him a feeling of like being filled with helium. So like they float upwards. So she did that with a car, and then she gave Barry the choice of either saving the person in the car or letting her go. Barry obviously chose to save the person in the car. We get the awesome scene. I love the running scenes with Barry in this season. They look really good. But yeah, Barry ends up going to save the guy, and then Null escapes. Obviously, we knew that she wasn't going to be caught at this point because it was literally near enough to start the episode, and that would have been way too easy. But she does come back later in the episode, and what she does is really smart again. So I'm going to go over like Null as a character and all of the things she did in the episode. So like, and we talk about different things in the episode, and it won't necessarily be in chronological order. It'll just be the things that I enjoyed going through the list in my mind. So sorry about that. But anyway, what Null does at the end of the episode, she touches the ground, and then anything that is around her or gets hit by the splash she put into the ground will had the helium filling effect and be sent up into that atmosphere. So Barry ends up speeding everybody out, but then she goes behind him and ends up sending him up into the atmosphere, which is where Ralph had I think this is his second heroic moment. Actually, he had another one with Cisco and Caitlin where he saved him from the acid in episode 12, I believe it was. It was Elongated Night Rises, but Ralph had his second heroic thing because Barry was basically going to go up into the atmosphere and he was going to go into space. So Ralph has the idea of cuffing Null's ankles so that she can't actually get away. She can't pick her way out of it because it's on her ankles, and which then dampens her powers, obviously, and sends Barry falling towards his death. But what Ralph does is he inflates himself using his powers and actually catches Barry and uses it as like a trampoline or like a trampoline type effect. So Barry lands on him and bounces up. So he cushions his fall, so to speak, and then Ralph has the hilarious moment where he makes himself have the whoopee cushion effect. So like when he's deflating, it sounds like he's fighting, but he's really not. He's had that throughout the entirety of the episode. Ralph had a lot of comedy in this episode, and I don't really agree with some of it, but like it did work, and it didn't feel out of place for the character because we know him to be a jokester throughout most of the season. So yeah, that worked. And obviously the other joke scene he had with the whoopee cushion is when Harry was trying to concentrate on trying to find Null. Ralph actually put a whoopee cushion where Harry was going to sit down, and he ends up sitting on it, and Harry throws the whoopee cushion at Ralph. So that was the other thing he did. But well, once they get back to Star Labs, Barry was actually being held up. He was like, shit, Iris had him on a piece of string, and it looked like he was a balloon. And they actually made a Charlie in the Chocolate Factory reference in this because he said, "Can't you just burp yourself down like Charlie Bucket did?" So that was cool, and I really do like it when they make other references in the show. So like they've even had a Doctor Who reference in this season of The Flash, and it's been really cool so far. But yeah, Barry ends up being like he literally just splats onto the ground, and Ralph was making a lot of jokes at Barry, and it pissed him off because the way Barry sees it is that it's Ralph's life that's on the line, and he doesn't seem to care. But we actually find out throughout the course of the episode that Barry needs to realize that he doesn't need to take everything so seriously, because I think it was after everything he's been through over the last few years, so he had Fawn, Zoom, Savitar, and now DeVoe. He's grown to be like Oliver, and he's ended up taking things way too seriously. And throughout this episode, we actually see him realize that he doesn't have to take things so seriously. And I really think that from this point forward, we're going to get more like the season 1 Barry back, where he doesn't take things so seriously, and he's actually a likable character. Because throughout the most of this season, he's been pretty selfish, only thinking about himself to an extent. So like, with the Fiddler, he wasn't really wanting to protect her for her. He wanted to protect her for his own gain. He got something out of protecting her. So yeah, it stopped DeVoe from getting into another host and then getting more powerful. So that was why he wanted to keep the Fiddler safe. It wasn't anything to do with her safety, so to speak. And then obviously with Iris, you could make the argument that he said that he would never make her give the powers back, the speed powers that Iris had in Run Iris Run. But you could tell throughout the episode, Barry was really bummed out about not having the powers, and I really do think he would have made her give them back at some point in the future. Because those powers, literally, he said it before, those powers make him, like, complete him, so to speak. It's like the thing with Oliver we were putting on the hood, having the super speed and the powers of becoming the Flash completes Barry, so to speak. So I thought that he has been quite selfish. Even last season, like, he wasn't trying to save the people in Central City. He was just trying to save Iris. So like, even in the finale, if you want to say that, when he was going away, they took their time. Barry could have just gone straight into the portal. Meanwhile, in that episode, there was people being struck by lightning. So, yeah, Barry has been pretty selfish throughout the last 2 seasons, and I really do think from this episode forward, it will be the turning point, so Barry will actually be a likable character again, which I'm honestly looking forward to, because I really want the Flash to be good again, and so far this season has been a bit meh. So, from the way it has some really good standout episodes, but mostly it's been, like, not that good as a lot of, like, previous seasons, and I really do think the Flash has been going downhill since season 2, and I think from this point forward, I think they can start improving the show, making the improvements that they need to, and listen to the fans of what we want. The Arrow has been doing that, because if you guys didn't know, into the next season of Arrow, they've actually announced that Roy is going to be a season regular. I will make another video about that because this video isn't about Arrow, but I just wanted to quickly bring that up to show that the CW are actually listening to what we want in the shows. So that's obviously a positive. And moving on, we actually have another thing I like, that is Harry. At the end of the episode, and you could kind of call it a post-credit scene, but we see Harry actually go into the Time Vault, which was the side room in season 1, which Harrison Wells, the Bard, used to like disguise and keep the Reverse Flash suit. So he goes in there, and I feel like it was intentionally set up to be like the scene in season 1 where he reveals his identity as the Reverse Flash, even with the music as well, and all of the different camera movements. It felt exactly like that one scene from season 1. I think it was in The Man in the Yellow Suit. It felt so much like that. And then when they actually remembered Gideon exists on the show, because obviously we knew Gideon was in there, and we haven't actually heard her speak since season 1, I think. So yeah, and she does make reference to this. She says it's like 1,034 days since we last spoke. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with Harry, because me personally, I think that they're going down the route of the thinking cap that Harry actually made is affecting his mind somehow. So now he is turning evil, so to speak. So he's becoming like the Earth One Eobard Thorn when he was disguising himself as the Earth One Wells. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and I really do hope it is the cap affecting his mind, because that makes more sense than if they have to go down the route of, oh no, the Wells is hiding something this season, because they've done that from season 1 through to season 3. In season 1, we obviously had Wells about. Season 2, we had Harry was hiding the fact that he caused all of the people to get their powers, their particle accelerator on Earth 2, and then he was hiding the fact about Jesse and Zoom, and then hiding the fact he stole Barry's speed, or tried to steal Barry's speed. And season 3, we obviously had HR hiding the fact that he was a novelist and he wasn't actually who he says he was. So it's been like the Wells of the season hiding something. It's been a done concept for the last 3 seasons. And I really do feel like if they want to change the show, and it seems like they do from where they've been going this season, they need to stop repeating the same concepts over and over again. And they've done that by replacing the main villain from being a speedster for the first 3 seasons to now being a different one, being the Thinker. Even though I have my opinions on the Thinker, I don't really like him as a villain, but I respect the fact that they're trying to do something different and not trying to repeat the same formula every single season. But moving on, getting onto my thoughts on DeVille throughout this season. Like, from episodes 1 to episode 9, I really liked him as a character. Neil Sandilands nailed the performance as Clifford DeVille, and I really liked the way they were going with it. And then as soon as he started jumping bodies, especially as soon as he started jumping bodies into females, it just really creeped me out, and I don't like it. Especially, it got worse in this episode. It really did get worse. And this is my one drawback of this episode. So we actually find out that Marlize has been going through the same process of finding out that DeVille has been drugging her, and then making a record saying that she has to escape and she has to not trust him. And then she finds the record, DeVille finds her, and then ejects her with the Weeper's like cries to like drug her and make her forget, because with Dominic's abilities and the Weeper, she can actually make Marlize forget about everything that she's seen and manipulate her memories. So it's just really sick, and I really don't like it. It creeps the head out of me, and I really don't like. At one point I thought they could bring back DeVille and make him a likable villain. Like, I've liked every single villain throughout from the Reverse Flash to Savitar. Even though Savitar had his problems, I did like him as a character. I do not like DeVille as a villain at all. I can't like him after this episode. It just no. No, I'm sorry I'm getting really, really, really angry at this, but I just can't like him after what he did with that. And I really want Marlize to betray him now somehow, even though it doesn't seem likely anymore, because unless she gets away while DeVille is in there, DeVille can just drug her again, and then she's back in the same loop, and it's just like really toxic, and I really don't like it, and I really do hope that they figure this out soon, as I don't know how much more I can take of DeVille. Honestly, I really want this season to be over and we can have a new villain, because DeVille is just no for me anymore. I can't take him. He's like, no. Anyway, I'm gonna stop right there before I just go on a rant about DeVille, because I could make a whole video about how I don't like DeVille and the things I don't like about him, but maybe I will. If you guys would want to see that type of video, please do let me know in the comment section below. But that is it for my review. I would say I overall enjoyed this episode, but what held it back from being truly amazing was the thing with DeVille. Like, that brought the episode from a 10 out of 10 to, I'd say, a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It was still really good. Everything that didn't involve DeVille was amazing. I loved it. But just DeVille, no. So, yeah. What did you guys think of this episode? Please do help me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. As you know, your support is very much appreciated. And subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video.